What's up, YouTube, man? Welcome back to the channel, bro. Here, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, bro, we break down scary TikToks, woke TikToks that can make you question reality, raise your vibrations, spiritual TikToks, man. Anything and everything you could find right here on this channel. Like I said, once again, man, thank you guys for the criticism on your videos. You guys said you guys want me to hold my thoughts until after the clips plays, and not trying to pause too much, man. I'm trying to get better with that with each and every single video going forward. So let's dive on in, man. Got a good one for you guys today, bro.
Things that you should never look up on Google. 16-year-old Daniel Petrie and 12-year-old Gabriel Kuhn were two friends from Brazil who were both fans of an online role-playing game called Tibia. But on July 23, 2007, after Gabriel borrowed some in-game money from Daniel but was unable to pay it back, Daniel became absolutely furious. He stormed into Gabriel's room and proceeded to attack and rape him. After that, he strangled Gabriel with a wire until he fainted and went on to cut off his legs with a hacksaw. Gabriel regained consciousness and screamed in pain, but Daniel just kept cutting. The autopsy revealed that Gabriel was alive while his legs were being cut off, but soon died after due to blood loss and pain. Daniel was later sent off to a juvenile offender and served just 3 years in prison.
A woman obsessed with...
That is messed up. He did all that and then he got 3 years in prison? No, bro, I'm sorry. I think that has to be a harsher punishment for that. Bro, he did that and he passed away too and he got 3 years? Nah, I don't agree with that, man. Tell me in the comment section down below. What do you guys think?
The true crime allegedly killed someone just to see what it was like. South Korean police say that 23-year-old Chung Yu-chung consumed tons of crime shows and read books about murder before fatally stabbing a stranger. Police believe that she was actively researching and reading about murder so that she could get away with it. Obviously, that didn't work. 3 months prior to the murder, she was looking up tips on how to hide a corpse. Police described her as a loner and a recluse who had been unemployed since graduating high school 5 years ago. This woman apparently downloaded an app that's used to find tutors for your children. That's where she connected with the unidentified victim. 2 days later, she told the tutor she was going to send her daughter for a consultation. Instead, Chung showed up wearing a school uniform she'd purchased online. Police also said that with this uniform on, she's so short that the tutor probably believed that she was a 9th grader. After being led into the home, she allegedly fatally stabbed this tutor with a knife. Police say she then dismembered this woman and cleaned up using bleach and garbage bags purchased from a nearby store. She then placed the remains in a suitcase and took a taxi to a nearby wooded area. She dumped the suitcase in some brush but kept the victim's ID, wallet, and phone. And this was apparently to make it seem like no foul play was involved. But the taxi driver thought it was suspicious that someone was taking a suitcase into the woods and dumping it. So they reported her to police. And when police searched her home, they found more of the victim's remains. She initially told police that she killed the tutor after an argument, but there was holes in her story and her family pushed her to confess. A spokesperson said that she feels sorry for what she did and they're conducting tests to see if she's a psychopath. And when she was asked why she tried to conceal the murder, she said, "I think I was out of my mind."
Just one thing that we have in common, neither of us will be missed.
What?
St. Bernard sits at the top of the driveway. You all...
Jesse Wilson, what the hell?
These prisoners had one final meal and they made the worst choices. Starting off, we have Lady Killer literally and figuratively Ted Bundy's last meal. He actually didn't request any food, so he was given Florida's standard death row meal. Toast, steak, hash browns, eggs, coffee, milk, and juice. Which after all that, he refused to even take one bite. But not as bad as Prisoner 2, whose meal only lasted one bite. A meal where calories quite literally do not count. What did murderer Victor Fegger choose? One singular olive. But it had to have a pit in it. The reason for this was that he hoped that the pit would sprout into an olive tree after he died as a symbol of peace. Either he was delirious or he was a die-hard vegan. But this next man knew exactly what he wanted. Clarence Dixon.
He was convicted of killing student Dina Bowden.
His very last words, "Maybe I'll see you on the other side, Dina."
A murderer who requested KFC, strawberry ice cream, and a bottle of water. It's certainly better than eating an olive. What would you...
The Menendez brothers.
How was that?
The case became a national sensation when it was broadcasted on live TV in 1993. The defense lawyer the brothers hired using their parents' money was good. Too good. Leslie Abramson. described as a legal pain in the ass, argued that the boys gunning down their mother and father was an act of self-defense in response to years of physical, psychological, and sexual torment.
Yes, I threw up almost every time when he would come in my mouth.
And your mother, Mr. Menendez, when you were in the bathroom throwing up because of what your father had done, did your mother ever come to you?
No. She taught me how to hide my tears.
What did you say to Mom?
I told her to tell Dad to leave me alone. And he keeps touching me.
The reception the boys received from the public was by no means empathetic. The brothers were mocked, with SNL even making a skit about the trials. More in part 3.
Really?
I'm telling you, people.
That Menendez brother case is freaking insane, bro. I remember my freaking grandparents talking about that.
Feared this man. Hi, my name is Ethan, and trigger warning, this is a dark case. Everyone knows Richard Ramirez and the crimes that he committed in 1984 to 1985. However, one thing that I did not know was how demonic he truly was. Reports stated that he had a hard drug addiction, and that is why he broke into homes and unalived individuals. But what was really interesting is not only did he have a fascination with drugs, but he also had a fascination with Satan. His method for unaliving people was very different, as each time was not the same. To give an example, he stomped a girl while she slept. He shocked another girl with an electrical cord, unaliving both. His fascination with Satanism was so strong that not only did he write symbols at every crime scene, but he also made some individuals swear to Satan before they took their last breath. Needless to say, he was sentenced to death in 1989 and then passed away in 2013 while in jail.
Amara Carson was only 13 months old when she was the victim of an exorcism, tortured by her mother's boyfriend for 30 hours before finally succumbing to her injuries. Trigger warning with this one, her injuries are horrific and they are listed in the video. I'll also put another trigger warning just before I describe those injuries because honestly, they're not for the faint-hearted. Blaine Milam, 18, had a history of drug abuse. He was taken out of school in 4th grade and is said to have had the mental capacity of a 12-year-old. Blaine was also a sex offender after breaking into someone's house and finding a 13-year-old girl's bedroom. He went through her underwear drawer and then left clippings from adult magazines all over her bedroom, with notes stating what he wanted to do to the 13-year-old girl. He was sentenced to 180 days in jail, but served only a quarter of that, before moving to another country when nobody knew of his shameful reputation. In 2008, Blaine met Jessica Carson. He was attracted to her straight away. She was the same age as him, and she had a baby girl. Jessica was worried that the fact that she was a mother would put Blaine off, but it had quite the opposite effect. And on prom night, he proposed to her, and she soon moved into his apartment with baby Amara. Fast forward to the end of 2008, and the couple had got involved with the dark arts. They'd both been using a Ouija board to try and contact their fathers who had passed away. According to Jessica, they'd spoken to the devil, who said that baby Amara was possessed by a demon. The devil had said that it was already too late for baby Amara, but if they wanted to save themselves, then the baby had to be sacrificed. Over the next few days, the couple tried to pawn some belongings to get enough money to get a priest to perform an exorcism on baby Amara. When this plan failed, they took matters into their own hands. On December 2nd, 2008, 911 received a call from Blaine to say that his daughter was dead. He said they'd left her in the house asleep and they were gone for a couple of hours looking at a property to move into. When they returned, they found Amara upstairs dead. The dispatcher urged the couple to perform CPR, but they said that they couldn't and that she was already gone. When authorities arrived at the scene, what they found was absolutely horrific. They went into one of the bedrooms and it was covered in blood. There was blood-soaked bedding, blood-soaked baby clothes, baby wipes covered in blood. Of course, this blood was baby Amara's. The details of Amara's injuries are so extensive that I'll have to go to a part 2. So please join me in part 2 and I'll put a trigger warning at the beginning because Amara's injuries are particularly hard to listen to.
This killer accidentally admitted to his crimes by accident when he forgot he was wearing a microphone while taking part in a documentary. This is how a true crime documentary exposed a killer. In 1971, Robert Durst met Kathleen McCormack and they got married.
All right.
At the time of her disappearance in 1982, Kathleen had nearly graduated college. She was last seen by a witness at a dinner party where she appeared to be upset. She got a call from Robert and left. Robert admitted to having argued with Kathleen that night, but he said he put her on a train to New York and then never saw her again. Her friend called police to report her missing. Interestingly, Kathleen had been treated at a medical centre for facial bruises weeks prior to this and told the friend that Robert had done it. Robert had actually been dating someone else for some time prior to this and had been living separately to Kathleen. When her family broke into her cottage to try and find out where she was, they found the place had been trashed and her possessions put in the bin. Kathleen's family always believed that Robert was involved in her disappearance. In 2000, Susan Berman, a friend of Robert's, was found murdered. Now, she'd actually provided Robert with an alibi for Kathleen's disappearance. Now, pay really close attention to this next bit. Days after she was killed, a letter addressed to the Beverly Hills Police Department contained Susan's address and the word cadaver on it. On the envelope, Beverly was misspelled. Robert admitted in 2005 that Susan had called him shortly before her death to say that the police wanted to question her about Kathleen going missing. It's believed that Robert killed Susan to keep her quiet. In 2001, Robert's neighbour's body parts were found floating in Galveston Bay. Robert's elderly neighbour, Morris Black, had been killed and Robert was arrested. He was actually released on bail and fled and was found about a month later in Pennsylvania. He was found with $37,000 cash, 2 weapons, and interestingly, Morris Black's driving licence. In court, Robert claimed he was acting in self-defence. He said he'd accidentally shot Morris and dismembered his body. Due to lack of forensics, he only got 5 years in jail. This is where things get really crazy. HBO was filming a documentary called The Jinx. During production, Susan's stepson found a letter written by Robert. This contained the same spelling error in the word Beverly as the anonymous letter to police. This implicated Robert in the murder. Now, while filming the documentary, Robert needed the toilet. He forgot that he had a microphone still attached to him. He was recorded talking to himself. He said, "There it is, you're caught. You're right, of course, but you can't imagine. Arrest him." And then he said "What a disaster. He was right, I was wrong." And finally he said, "I'm having difficulty with the question. What the hell did I do? Killed them all, of course."
Search was.
So he did all that killing and he only got 5 years in jail. Then when neighbors freaking interviewed him, he let it all go, bro, because he thought they wasn't recording him anymore, bro. It'd be the simplest things that would get you caught, bro. That's like energy, man. Will come around and get you, bro. That's karma for you, bro. Tell me, man, in the comment section down below, guys, what do you guys think of that case? That's just insane, bro.
Results had shown that Andrew Innes had searched well before meeting Benny Lynn on the internet the use of chloroform and for underground containers.
That's weird.
He had been left scorned and angry at his previous failed relationship. He had a spreadsheet that he created to rank women based on height, weight, age, and if they had children. Top scores were given to those in their mid to late 20s that did have young children. Due to her age, we don't have this 7-year-old's name, but her accounts really put into perspective what is described as amongst the very worst crimes which have come before the High Court. Andrew had been seen by the girl with Benny Lynn, and he had taken a hammer which he'd been captured purchasing from a DIY store.
Don't do murders, bro.
Cracking her over the head numerous times in a scene of pure malice. He then switched to what some would say was a samurai sword before savagely stabbing away at the body of the 25-year-old mother. Before flipping the sword around, revealing the hilt and bringing it down on her face over and over again, bludgeoning the helpless and now deceased corpse of Benelin. He claimed to the police that initially she attacked him with a sushi knife. The only silver lining for this young girl being there was that she was able to easily disprove all of his lies. Days later, it's believed Andrew would then go on to murder the little toddler Jellica. When asked where she was, he said, "Under the floor with Mum. I couldn't look after a child. The child was screaming." He had assaulted Jellica during this sickening and prolonged captivity.
He did that too.
The young witness had said that they had all been tied up in a bathroom at times. She had been raped numerous times in this period. When he deemed Jellica's time was up, he would play hide and seek with his 7-year-old. When playing, he would sneak off, before putting his hands on the neck of Jellica before squeezing the life out of the poor little girl. He disposed of their bodies in which he described as Christian burials under his kitchen floor, feet below the concrete. He had the audacity of saying that he never touched this lone survivor, but sadly this was a lie, as sperm samples were taken from her and they matched Andrew Innes. It's believed he chose his victims carefully, fueled by rage and revenge for his failed relationships. Andrew Innes was sent down in February 2023, around 2 years after the disturbing murders of the two.
Took that long?
36 years minimum term to be served. He claimed to have gone insane and suffered psychosis after taking steroids and medication used to treat Crohn's disease. Dr. Cowan believes that Andrew was not impaired at the time of the murders. Andrew's story also changed.
He wasn't, bro.
An expert does go on to say that he had a ridiculous amount of dating app profiles, and that in cases like this, he wouldn't be shocked if there's more victims that may be uncovered. The judge and jury saw straight through his lies and saw this as the cold, premeditated and unjust case that it was, where a mother and daughter had their lives taken, and Jellica was also abused too.
Crazy.
Andrew Innes even told police that if they had come 24 hours later, the surviving abuse victim may have been dead too. So was he truly evil?
The stuff he did surely was evil, bro. And then he tried to try to play it off, try to say he didn't know what he was doing, but it's just too much evidence against him that he was planning to do this, bro. Like I said, man, you just gotta watch out for people in this world nowadays, bro. People are crazy, man. You never know what their intentions are. Tell me in the comment section down below, guys, what you guys think of that case. He gave him a number she didn't want to.
Now, a lot of people have been tagging me in this video, and a lot of people have been asking for this specific story, so I'm here to finally bring it for the 3rd time since I've covered this story already. Now, brace yourselves, because this is going to be a long and graphic story. So if you cannot handle this story, feel free to scroll away. I warn you, viewer discretion is advised. The girl you see in this video is named Junko Furuta. She was a 16-year-old Japanese girl who underwent 44 days of literal hell before dying on November 22nd, 1989. Now, her case was known throughout Japan as the concrete encased high school girl, and it drew nationwide attention due to the sheer brutality of what she went through before her death. Junko attended a high school in Misato in Saitama Prefecture, Japan. I hope I said that right. She was a very good-looking student and enjoyed a lot of attention. This made some of her peers jealous. She also did not smoke, drink, nor do drugs, and this was looked as uncool in the eyes of the other gangster-like teenagers. One of them, Hiroshi Miyano, had a crush on her but was not looking for a relationship. Junko turned him down. Now, Hiroshi was the bully of the school, and everybody feared him because he had connections with the new generation of the Yakuza. Nobody dared to oppose this guy, and Junko was the only one who said no to him. On November 25th, 1988, Junko was kidnapped by 4 teenage boys, one of them being Hiroshi Miyano. Boys took her to a house in the district of Tokyo. Now, this house was owned by one of the parents of the boys who kidnapped Junko. While in captivity, Junko was forced to call her parents and say that she was running away to a friend's house, and she clearly stated that she was not in any danger. This was so the boys could avoid a whole manhunt searching for Junko, and so the police wouldn't get involved. Now, you're probably wondering where are the parents of this kid. Now, apparently the parents would visit every now and then and see her in the house, but the boys would convince the parents that she was one of the girlfriends of the boys. The parents were too scared to address this because of how Hiroshi had connections with the Yakuza. For 44 days, Junko was forced to suffer. She was humiliated by being kept naked most of the time. She was also raped every day by more than 100 men. This was because Hiroshi would invite other people because of his connection with the Yakuza. It's estimated that she went through 500 rapes in total. She was also beaten with golf clubs, had her face bashed into cement floors. She was also urinated on and forced to stick objects in her you-know-what. As well as she was provided little to no supply of food. So she was forced to eat cockroaches and drink her own urine. She was also used as a punching bag and had one of her nipples ripped off with pliers. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what happened to her. I'm not about to say every single thing that happened to her. During the time she was kidnapped, she would beg the 4 boys to just end her life, but they would not grant her that wish. On the last day, she was challenged to a game of mahjong by the boys. She won this game. This angered the 4 teenage boys, and what they did next ended her life. They burned her with lighter fluid and beat her with metal bars. Her body then went into shock and then died the next day. The boys then stuffed her body in a 55-gallon barrel and filled it up with concrete, then left this barrel in Tokyo. Pretty soon the kidnappers would be arrested and tried. However, they were given light sentences as they were teenagers. 3 of the boys only served under 7 years of prison. The last one, however, served 17 years. Later, his sentence would be bumped up to 20 years in prison. And their identities were changed due to the severity of this case. Like and follow for more. Please stop asking me to do this story. I don't like this one. This is the worst story I've ever read and covered.
So, how much do you know about Ted Bundy?
She went through all that damn torment. And they only got those light sentences, bro. That just shows you how cruel the world can be, bro. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever, man.
Almost nothing.
Okay, so Ted Bundy is one of the most notorious serial killers of all time. He was born in Vermont, 1946. He grew up to be a successful lawyer and worked for Republican Party politicians, quite successful, motivated, but this guy had a bit of a dark side because his first kill came on February the 1st, 1974. At the university where he'd studied a few years before, he actually broke into the basement of a young girl, student, beat her unconscious, and took her body up into the mountains.
God.
I know, quite dark. And after that event, loads more female college students started to vanish. So at the end of that spring, police were pretty concerned.
Sure.
So 5 women had disappeared at this point. No evidence, no witnesses, no link to one another.
No evidence whatsoever.
Absolutely none. They didn't know who to pin it on. The only slight clue that they had was that people in the area had seen a man wearing a sling, asking for help, carrying a load of books, to his tan-coloured Volkswagen Beetle.
And that's Ted.
Exactly. So in June, Ted Bundy lured a student back to his car, knocked her unconscious with a crowbar, handcuffed her, strangled her, and then spent the whole night with her body. So at the end of that year, he had killed 11 women, and by the following summer, that had grown to 15. But what was interesting is what actually got him arrested was just a minor road traffic accident.
Nothing to do with the killing.
Well, an offence, yeah, nothing to do with the killing, just a road traffic offence. And when the police searched the vehicle, they found an ice pick, a crowbar, handcuffs and rope, and a ski mask.
So not your standard stuff.
No, pretty creepy stuff to have in the back of your car. So detectives worked out that Bundy was the guy that they were looking for, and he was charged with the kidnapping of one of his victims, Carol Durant. She was the one who escaped.
So just the kidnapping, not the murders?
Not the murders, just the kidnapping. So he was sentenced to up to 15 years in jail, but he also broke out of prison twice.
What?
I know. So free again. His killing spree continued. So he went on a rampage and he broke into a university called the University of Florida, broke into a sorority called Chi Omega and killed 2 girls as they slept, strangling one and sexually assaulting them both. 2 victims that he assaulted at that house survived. A few weeks later, his final murder took place. 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, which is very young, very horrible. She disappeared from her junior high school while walking back to class, and her partially mummified remains were found at a pig farm a few weeks later. So despite all of Bundy's kidnappings and killings whilst on the run, it was again a slight traffic offence that led to him finally being caught.
Again?
So a few days on from Kimberly's abduction, Bundy was stopped by an officer who spotted he was driving a stolen Volkswagen Beetle. And after a bit of a scuffle, he was handcuffed, and the officer just didn't realise who he'd arrested, but brought him in. His trial started in June 1979, And it was a huge deal because it was the first trial to be televised nationally in the US.
Oh.
And Ted represented himself, which was quite egotistical of him.
Arrogant.
And fits the whole, exactly, it fits everything about him. And after a month-long ordeal, the jury found him guilty of 2 of the murders and sentenced him to death.
Took him a month?
Wow.
I know. So the night before his execution, 9 years later, when he finally was executed, he finally confessed to his crimes. He admitted to killing 30 women and girls. Even when he did confess, he blamed everything on other things. So he wouldn't accept responsibility. He blamed his difficult childhood, alcohol, porn, the media, anything you could think of. That was why he did it. On Tuesday, January 24th, 1989, Ted Bundy was executed in the electric chair at 7:16 a.m. in the morning.
Did he get his last meal?
So it is customary across the US for death row prisoners to choose a last meal, but he did not choose one at all. So he was given just like the standard death row meal for that time, which was steak done medium rare, eggs over easy, toast with butter and jelly, milk, coffee, juice, and hash browns.
Jelly as in...
Jam.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
And he didn't have a single bite. He refused to eat. So he died on a very empty stomach.
What a waste.
Those freaking serial killer stories, man, they always give me the freaking chills, man. Just like how they could do that much killing, bro, and just like it's inhuman, bro. It's inhumane, man. YouTube, that's it, man, for this video for you guys today. Like I said, guys, tell me in the comment section down below, guys, if you guys think I'm getting better with each and every single video, man. Like I said, I'm trying not to pause. I save my thoughts until after, man. So, like I said, going forward, man, I'm just trying to do my best for you guys. So let's grow this channel together, man. Spread the word about this channel. Hit that like button, man, so it can hit the algorithm. More people can see these cases. You guys can catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.